I want people to listen carefully to this, because sometimes these things happen and we don't pay much attention to them, but they have important implications for us as a people, for our country's economy, and therefore for the livelihood of our people. And I'm going to call names. As you know, Mr. Leacock, at all intentions now, the boatyard at Calico that belongs to Mr. Howard, Howard Marine, is one of the main importer of engines for fishermen and so on into St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They have been doing so, importing engines, even before they formed themselves into a company. And fishermen in St. Vincent and the Grenadines buy those engines. They have been doing so for over 30 years. They have been doing so for over 30 years. They started back in 1983 to import engines for fishermen in this country. In the laws of this country, Mr. Leacock, and in the law on the value-added tax, there are certain items that are exempt from paying tax, and there are also certain items that are exempt from paying the value-added tax and the duty. And the reason for that was to give an incentive for people in agriculture, to give an incentive to people in fishing, to improve our performance in the agriculture and in the tourism sector. In the same way, you have concessions in tax for hotels and other businesses, aimed at creating employment, jobs for people. Everybody knows where Howard Marine is out Calico there. Last Tuesday, Mr. Howard went to clear a couple of engines that he had brought in that a couple of fishermen needed. And he was told that he has to pay the import duty and the tax. He has to pay import duty and the tax because he doesn't have any concessions. Well, the concession was not to Mr. Howard or to his company. The concession is to allow fishermen to get their engines at a lower price so they could go out and fish and be able to come back and sell fish here in town or anywhere else at a reasonable price. In the same way, and I'm going to read some of the items because I'm tired of this nonsense on the part of this government. It says here in the value-added tax law on page 263, section 22, referring to items that are exempt from value-added tax. It exempts seedlings, fertilizers, pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, and different items of machinery and equipment designed for agricultural or horticultural use. That is a concession given by governments years ago for duty concessions, and now in the value-added tax for value-added tax. That was an effort to promote agriculture and our food security and so forth. But it also applied to fishing. And there's a list of items that are exempt. Fiberglass or wooden boats, anchors, GPS systems, fish finders, and importantly, among others, outboard engines up to 75 horsepower, inboard diesel engines, winches and propellers, engines up to 75 horsepower. So Mr. Howard, in under normal circumstances, importing these things for years to sell to fishermen, he would go to the fisheries department, show them what he's bringing in. He'll fill out the form. The fishing department will approve it, and he goes and he clears the engine duty-free and VAT-P, and then he can sell the engine to whoever fisherman comes to buy. When he went to do that last Tuesday, he was told that he's not a concessionaire. In other words, he's not eligible for that. But the law did not give that to him. The law is giving that to people who are in business in that sector, like the fishermen and the farmers, so that they can get the benefit of no duty and no tax, because the price, therefore, will be lower. That Mr. Howard says that. So when they tell him all of a sudden, listen, you're not a concessionaire, that's nonsense, foolishness. For 31 years, this has been done. He goes to the Ministry of Agriculture, he signs a form, they certify it, and that's what he used over the years with the customs to clear. All of a sudden, after all this time, suddenly last Tuesday is different. Then the other thing that happened last Tuesday, all of a sudden the drug squad comes to his business in Calicut to search. And when he asks what it is about, they don't have any warrant. And they're telling the staff, when we get anything, we'll tell you. They're supposed to have a search warrant, unless the person gives them permission to come in. But that's the kind of nonsense that is happening here. But what is the effect of that decision that's been taken by the customs, I assume on the instructions, especially in relation to engines? Right now, a 75 horsepower engine for fishermen use costs $16,000. $16,000, which is the most popular engine for the fishermen, the one that is bought most. The price of that engine will change, because we're duty in the VAT now, to $18,400. So it's going to cost the fisherman $2,400 more on each engine of 75 horsepower that they buy. $2,400 more. Then the next popular is the 40 horsepower engine. One of those sells now for $10,000. It's going to go to $11,500. Another $1,500 added on to the price of the engine. Then there's the 30 horsepower engine, which sells for $7,800 now. It's going to $8,900, almost $9,000. Plenty more than $1,000 more. And even the little 15 horsepower engines is going from $6,600 to $7,590, almost $1,000 more, $990. What are all these price increases going to mean for fishing? If the fisherman has to pay these kind of price increases on his fish, the price of fish is going to go up. Because they have to buy fuel every day. And these increases are not acceptable. We have fish going at $9 a pound. It will go up. And those persons like what's in it? The who lend, like the NDF, for instance, National Development Fund, who lend fishermen for engines and so forth. The loans will be larger. So the payments will be more that fishermen have to make when they go to buy an engine and have to take a loan. What are we doing that for? What is the government allowing that for? What is the purpose? So you're going to raid his business, send the drug squad there to raid his business, and the same day, you tell him now he has to pay duty and VAT. Was this a witch hunt? Is it because Mr. Howard's brother is the one who was writing to block the Prime Minister's attendance at a conference in Chicago last week, where we were supposed to speak on reparations? His brother was very outspoken on that matter. But that is his right.
A lot of coincidence.
There's too much coincidence in that. I believe the two things are related. We have to stop this nonsense here. Nobody's concerned about the prices going to be to the fishermen, and therefore to the price of fish for all our people. When you increase an engine by $2,400 for fishermen, that's a big increase. What do you expect him to do? Just absorb it? It's going to be passed on in the price of fish. Which is going to affect all of us. Affect our economy. In a bad way. We cannot continue to have this kind of behavior from the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. People are trying to make a living, going about their business, trying to keep their heads above water. People can't make it to the electricity bills. You can't make it to the water. You're putting on more on the fish. Because this never happened before. It's over 30 years they've been importing these things. Why now? Why now? Are you going to do that now with things like agriculture too? Are we going to do that? Is the government going to do that? Say now you must pay VAT and so on the seedlings, on agricultural equipment, on pesticides, to increase the cost of doing agriculture in this country when agriculture is at the bottom of the ladder right now? What are we to expect from this government in terms of the development and the lives of the people of this country? I find the whole thing most despicable. That in today's world, the economy is struggling. We're making it harder for the private sector in agriculture. When we should be giving incentives for the private sector to build back agriculture. And what are you going to do? You're going to do that now for somebody in tourism too? Where is it going to stop? And what is the reason for doing it? Without thinking of the implications for the prices of fish and other things. We cannot continue like this in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This government has to go. What do you want? The business to close down because you can't sell engines anymore? Or the price of fish becomes too high for people already struggling? What is this intended? And when you seek to find out what is happening, you can't even see the control of Inland Revenue because he has made his decision already. All this nonsense talk. This affects people's lives and people's living and their ability to live. Not only for the person who's buying the engine, but for all of us who have to buy fish. This nonsense must stop. And the donor want it to be expanded to other things. Beyond the engines. Because you have propellers, you have fiberglass boats and so on. You're going to say pay the duty on those too also. Although you have a law saying they are exempt. What's this? Sometimes I can't believe the nonsense that passes in this country. Here is a business built up by Vincentians over years. What do you want to do? Close it down and send home more people? They're not going home now? I not only find this disgusting, it's a detriment to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and their livelihood and their living, the cost of living in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Already some people can't make no $9 for fish. So you're selling it higher. To get at somebody whose family may have made a statement that you don't like. We got to get out of this.